be paid for to make it better for corporations. It's just like crazy. I mean, they have no ownership of the debt, okay, because they're not in debt. All the debt is on our shoulders. 73% of us own the debt, and the rest don't. They own 50% of our wealth. I mean, honestly, they pay 15% in taxes. There is no democracy anymore, and people are just sitting back and saying, oh, it just sucks, and I think it's Obama's fault. How is it Obama's fault? This has been 30 years of Republican legislatures chipping away at every single thing that means anything to the general welfare of the people.
Well, they put on this holier-than-thou attitude about, we're doing it what needs to be done, and...
Well, apparently not, because people are starving.
Exactly.
So why don't they do what needs to be done, which is to pass a jobs bill? Where's their jobs bill? If they disagree with his so much, how come they don't have one?
Well, the only thing they want to do is get rid of him. They don't have any other plan.
And again, we're back to the beginning where, exactly. You may have a desire to get rid of this or one or that one, but not at the expense of everybody else.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Susan in Lynn County, California.
Hi, Randy. How you doing?
Hey.
I have you shopping with me at Safeway. So
Safeway. Hi, everybody.
So listen, I listen to you all the time. I get money out on my Facebook to everybody that is listening to me. I want to do more, and I want to know your ideas. How do we get these obstructionists out of office?
We vote them out.
I understand that, but can we start a recall? Can we start, I know they go district by district, and we're doing that with Scott Walker, and we did it with the other Republicans that got in office in Wisconsin.
Yeah, in Ohio, we'll probably make an effort, to swipe it, Kasich.
Right. So what do we do? I mean, you had me the other day, you had a woman on the phone who had 30-something-year-old kids, Ivy League schooled, and can't find a job. And I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old boy, and I'm in tears because I don't see a future for them.
Well, there will be a future for them, but it all depends on what happens in this next election. If people show up and get rid of these freshmen and get rid of these sickos that say, I know the American people are suffering, and our plan is to do absolutely nothing. We're much more interested in being reelected ourselves than we are in seeing the American people be able to pay their bills or have a job and have dignity or retire with dignity or feed their families or, be able to, do anything in this world. We're much more concerned with ourselves. If people don't vote them out and we get another Republican majority in 2012 and we, then, what can I tell you? Whatever
we're up a creek. We're up a creek without a paddle.
Because this isn't something that happened overnight. This isn't, this is something they've been working on for 30 damn years.
I get that. I get that now, and I truly appreciate.
Listen, they are playing the long game. These corporations, first of all, you got to realize most of the people that own these corporations inherited them. They are used to waiting around for their money, okay? And they have no problem playing the long game. So they'll wait the American people out. They'll make sure that everybody's wages are depressed, that you're desperate enough to go to work for them for less than minimum wage. Child labor laws will disappear. There's no question that they've been working on all of this for 30 years, and they play the long game. The people out here, that when you're hurting, it's like every day is a long game. Every month is a long game. Every week it's the long game. But for the ultra-rich, the Koch brothers, the Mellon Scapes of the world, the Falwell, the Regent University crowd, the Ralph Reeds, they'll wait you out. Make you nice and desperate. And you'll just take any damn job at any salary, even if it means living in a company farm and shopping at the company store. They would love it. 20 after.
Randi Rhodes.
Well, going to the post office has never, ever been convenient.
Randy, it's me. It's Binky.
Binky.
Okay, I've loved the shows that you've done on moving your money and the banks. The one thing that people need to pay attention to is when they're going to move their money, they need to check the rating on the health of that financial institution.
Yes.
Now, there are two sites that I go to all the time. One is Bauer Financial, BAUER Financial.com, and the other one is Bank Rate. And you can look up in your state all of the institutions, whether it's checking and savings or credit union, and you can find out the financial health of the institution that you're interested in. They do star ratings, so you can see it by how many stars they have.
That's good information. Let me tell you something. I'm trying to move my money. They don't make it easy.
No, they don't.
They do not make it easy. You should be able to wire money from one place to another. They have charges. They have fees. They have. By the way, today, I will say, Bank of America, I went to the website. I was going to get the contact information, call them up and ask them, when can this get to, I want this done. Here's where it goes, blah, blah, blah. And their website was down. Something's going on out there.
Yep.
It said, traffic is very slow today. Try us back later.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Something's going on. They're making it either very difficult for you to get to your money or people are moving their money.
Yep.
I don't know which it is, but I hope it's the latter because it's time.
Yep.
Thank you. I love you more. Thank you, Binky. Robert in New York.
Yes. Hi, Randy. I am from New York City. I wanted to talk about the Wall Street thing a little bit because I was going to go there tomorrow. But, you're saying, no one can compete against Karl Rove, et cetera, but I think, the 99% people can, and...
not with money.
No, not with money.
That's what I'm talking about.
But with votes, and
votes are a different thing, yeah.
Yeah, my wackadoodle idea is that, since the Republicans, since Ronald Reagan have, undermined and destroyed the economy and removed all the regulations, and creating the financial problems that we're in, that they don't deserve to be there. So I think that we should just vote out all the Republicans and then start a new party called the American Working Families Party, and then the Democrats become the sort of the right wing, and the moderate Republicans and the Tea Party people can join that Democratic Party, and then that's the way, we start from there and just vote all the Republicans out, because I know, and I think most of the country knows that they're responsible for the situation that we're in, and that's my premise.
Well, the Republicans are not only they know that they're responsible for the situation we're in, but they're responsible for keeping us here in this situation. This is the plan. Their plan is to do nothing. Their plan is to do absolutely nothing. Nothing, and more nothing. They are a do-nothing Congress. They are the party of no. They are the party of, tax breaks for the wealthy. They are the 1% party. And, a lot of people have said...
So they have to go away.
A lot of people have said, and I agree with you, and a lot of people have said that they can't understand, and I agree with this sentiment. They understand why 1% of the population would vote for them, but how could the other 99% be talked into voting for them?
I think things are changing anyway, hopefully.
I do too. I think people are fed up, and I don't think party matters anymore. I just think people know which party has done this, which party refuses to do anything to solve it or to mitigate it or to make it go away, and which party is screaming at the top of their lungs, let's get working, let's move forward, let's get into the 21st century finally, for Pete's sake. So, yeah, I mean, the whole idea that we only have two choices. By the way, West Virginia, you have an election today for governor. Not much of a choice there, but, don't let that state go Republican. Don't let it go Republican. Oh, my God. No one will get out alive, ever.
Randi Rhodes.
Turn up your mind here now.
United, a look into the pro-corporate players in American politics. It's been put out by People for the American Way. It is astounding. Page 2, it's a real page turner, I got to tell you. If you're a geek and a dork like me. But, I mean, these numbers are like sick. The national debt is not a result of the actions of the Obama administration or the congressional Democrats. You look at President Clinton, who put the country on a path toward paying off the national debt. And you look at the cost of the tax cuts under Bush alone, which added $2.5 trillion to the national debt over the 10 years that they've been law, okay? PolitiFact did some fact checking, and it said when Bush took office, the national debt was $5.73 trillion, and when he left, it was $10.7 trillion. Okay, then we had all these bail. Then we put Obama in office, and Obama put everything on budget. The things that weren't even in that $10.7 trillion, like the wars. He put it in the budget, like the Medicare Part D giveaway to the prescription drug companies. Put it in the budget. That's why you have the numbers you have now. Now, if you keep electing these Republicans, they're going to keep on transferring the money from you to others. And the others are paying them for the privilege of having your money. I mean, and it talks about all these different organizations that are doing it. And you should, start learning their names, because these are the things that you're going to see on the bottom of all the ads. And you're going to go, well, who are the 60 Plus Association? The 60 Plus Association is pharma and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It's big business. It's pharma. That's who the 60 Plus Association is. American Action Network and American Action Forum. This is former Republican U.S. Senator Norm Coleman and the McCain-Palin policy advisor, Douglas Holtz-Eakin. He founded the American Action Network. The American Action Forum is the 501c3. It's a conservative think tank. They don't have to say who their donors are. It's a supposedly not-for-profit. Who's part of it? I mean, you look at these names. Fred Malek, the McCain-Palin finance chair, the Republican fundraiser Robert Steele from Goldman Sachs and Wachovia, the tobacco heir C. Boyden Gray, Home Depot founder Kenneth Langone, RNC head Ed Gillespie, Republican Governors Association chief Haley Barbour, former Governor Jeb Bush, Tom Ridge, former Senator George Allen from Virginia, Mel Martinez, former senator from Florida, former Congressman Jim Nussle from Iowa, and Vin Weber, the Republican from Minnesota, who was a lobbyist, and Tom Reynolds. I mean, American Crossroads, is Karl Rove, right? And they don't have to disclose either. American Future Fund. That is Ben Ginsberg, Ed Tobin, Jan Van Lubezin, Larry McCarthy, who produced the Willie Horton ad. I mean, these are all Republican business owners, and they don't have to disclose. Americans for Job Security, a pro-corporate astroturfing 501c6 trade association, lobbyists, okay? Americans for New Leadership and Liberty.com, Tea Party, founded by the Tea Party activists Eric Odom and Yates Walker. They worked on Christine O'Donnell's campaign against Mike Castle. Fox News commentator Dick Morris. I mean, all these people, and they're on TV, and they're on the radio, and they're lobbyists, and they're former senators, now lobbyists. These organizations are bogus, and they couldn't care less about you. Couldn't care less. And what do? They run all these fake ads, paid for by the 60 Plus, paid for Americans for live babies, paid for Americans who love puppies, paid for by Americans for kitties. I mean, give me a break with this. But you need to start learning their names. Kurt in Southern California.
Hey, Randy, how you doing? Thanks
Hello.
for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, well, when you mentioned earlier about people working in the company grocery store and living in the company lodging, I couldn't help but think about this movie that my mom was very fond of. It's called Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
And if your listeners really want to get an idea of what this country would be like if we allow the Republicans to take control of the White House again, just sit down with all their kids, all their family members, and if they haven't seen that movie before, just prepare for a real eye-opener, because that was set in the Great Depression when, times are hard and folks are looking for jobs. And literally, folks were moving out to California, migrating, looking for work, and they had the company lodging and the company store. By the time their day's work, they took their charge. By the time the company charged them for the company lodging and the food, they had nothing left.
Exactly.
They were just working.
It's the road to serfdom. That's what we're on. And the Republicans like that result. This is the America, the Grapes of Wrath America, the Dust Bowl America, the Depression-era America that they long for. They have nostalgia, and the people who support them have amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious.
Koch brothers are old enough to remember those days, and because their father, grandfather, whatever, was fortunate enough to leave them a little bit of money, to keep them from having to suffer. It's like, for some odd reason, it's like, like they say, if you forget your history, you're bound to repeat it.
That's right.
And we just came out of what was considered the worst depression since the Great Depression. And if we don't go back and look at what we did do right and what happened wrong during that era, we're just gonna walk blindly behind these Tea Party candidates, and they're just gonna lead us down a road of just straight up legal slavery. And I would just assume not do that. So
well, that is what they've done. I mean, this is what they've done. They had it, for 10 years. 10 years they were in charge of everything. And this is where they go. This is exactly the road that they like the best. This is the position that they take with regard to your future, with regard to your well-being. They really couldn't give a rat's ass about you. And frankly, they're much more interested in transferring what little you have to them. And they use every legal means to do so. And illegal means too. I mean, there's amazing articles about the Koch brothers, doing business with Iran as of yesterday, and now everybody's picked up on it, and they're writing, a million stories about it. But the truth is that the Koch brothers have done business with Iran when they were part of the Axis of Evil, and Bloomberg did an amazing investigative report on the Koch brothers, and it revealed deaths. And yes, I said deaths and bribes and felony charges and envelopes stuffed with cash and criminal violations and deliberate poisoning of the air with cancerous smoke and hundreds of millions of dollars of fines, which they are happy to pay, because you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars versus a few $1 million in fines. I mean, these are people that would rather pay the fine than, do anything else. So legal, illegal, they don't care. They don't care. Now, they started Freedom Works. They gave $500,000 to Dick Armey. They got endorsed by Glenn Beck and Mark Levin. They gave speaking fees to Sarah Palin and Joe the Plumber. They spent $1.9 million on event planning. This is the Tea Party. Ed in West Virginia. Oh, hi, West Virginia.
How's it going, Randy? How are you?
Hey, did you vote?
Yeah, we have an election today that nobody knows about.
I know about it.
Well, I understand that. But it's amazing, though, in the last 2 weeks, how much money from all the folks you've been talking about, and then including, like, Massey Energy, Don Blankenship.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, an amazing amount of money. And all of a sudden, television ads against the Democrat incumbent.
Who's a blue dog Democrat?
Well, that's true. But
you know what I mean? You have, like, no choice there, except that if you vote for the Tea Party person, it's going to be even worse. Tomlin is your, first of all, this is a special election, and so this guy is only going to serve till November 2012. However, Tomlin, while a Democrat, is a blue dog Democrat. But I have to say it's sick, but this is the best bet you have, because the other guy is going to turn the entire state over to Massey Mines.
Exactly. I mean, and in all honesty, everybody is very attuned to the fact that, we're a coal-producing state.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a dying industry.
It has been for a long time.
You find something else. But also, what do you do to the people who are still working there?
You find them jobs. You find them jobs doing something else, like building batteries.
No, like building wind turbines up on the mountaintops that they're removing. That's what I want to see.
Or cleaning up the whole mess that that their company has made.
True, but this was such an under the radar election, and then all of a sudden, in the last 10, 14 days, it's exploded with all these ads trying to link Tomlin to Obama, and he's nowhere near him.
No,
you're right. He is a blue dog.
He's a total blue dog, but you're better off with him than you are with that Tea Party jerk. And with
Manchin.
Yeah, to replace Joe Manchin, who's also a blue dog. So send us something, good next time. But for now, Tomlin, I think, that's what are you going to do?
Yeah, not much. Well,
I know.
I just hope people get out and vote.
I do too.
Really,
I do too.
Really small.
How's the weather there? Is it good?
Oh, today's nice. Yeah, it was actually
Okay, so go out and vote.
I did, of course.
Not you, West Virginia.
All right, thanks for your time. Take care.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Sam in Texas.
Yeah, how you doing, Randy? Appreciate everything you do for us.
Well, thank you.
I was in Wells Fargo yesterday in Albuquerque, and I asked the teller if they were going to go by way of Bank of America. And he said, oh, yeah, but we're only charging $3, and it's federally mandated. That's what the teller told me.
Yeah.
I just thought you would find that interesting.
It's a lie. I mean, there's a lot of lying going on. Yeah, but...
I know it's a lie. It's a flat-out lie, but they just think we're real stupid.
Yeah, they do. They do. And, I don't know why people don't resent it. I don't know why people say, that they would support anybody who thinks that you're that stupid, that you couldn't read a newspaper or didn't read a newspaper. There are stupid people in this country. Fortunately for them, they have us. They have us. We will protect those people in spite of them. That's the crazy thing. Oh, I was going to go to Randy in Oakland, California. I guess not. Randy?
I'm here. I can wait.
You can? Thank you. That's
Yep.
very kind of you. I appreciate it. That was an early break. So how many signatures now? 96,000? Is that it? 97,000. We're 3,000 signatures away. GetMoneyOut.com. 3,000 lousy signatures away. Now, of course, you're going to get an email from Dylan Radigan as if he's doing this. But I don't care. Just get me 100,000 signatures. We're 3,000 signatures away. GetMoneyOut.com. 47 after.
Randy Rhodes.
Your personal hotline to the cold, hard truth.
And still will give you a debit card that you can use every single day. What Bank of America has done here is an outrage.
That's Senator Dick Durbin. I couldn't believe he said that because, frankly, the Democratic National Convention is in Charlotte, North Carolina this year, which is the home of Bank of America. And I was telling another caller today, I am trying to get my money out and put it into the Air Force Credit Union. And I went to the website today to see, if they would do the transfer. You can't get on the website. And so now there's a story that just came out by the Associated Press, and it says Bank of America's consumer online banking service was slow for a fifth day Tuesday, and the bank still won't say what the problem is. Isn't that something? I have a funny feeling either people are overwhelming it with requests to take their money out, or they're keeping it slow so you can't take your money out. I don't know which it is, but it's weird because today was the day that I was going to make the transfer, and I can't do it. Randy in Oakland.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
I'm good.
I love your show, and I'm leaning towards they're slowing it down so you can't get your money. But the reason I called is to tell you about I was a Bank of America customer, and I got hit with a late fee for whatever reason. It's been a while back. And I paid the late fee, but by the time they got the late fee, they'd already assessed other charges on me. And this went around and around and around and around. And it turns out that it took me 6 months before I was finally able to get that taken care of. And as soon as I did, I left them and went to a credit union.
Yeah. I have a story, but not about them, and I won't say who it was, but I had a story like that where I was overpaying my mortgage, because I could. I was in New York. I was making a lot of money, and I was overpaying my mortgage, trying to pay it down before this job ran out. And I knew that it was Air America, and I knew they weren't going to be around for a really long time. So I said, oh, well, as long as I'm getting paid, I'm going to pay down my mortgage. And because I wasn't paying the correct amount that they had down to the penny, and I was paying more, they kept putting my money in an escrow account and started charging me late fees because I was overpaying. And I pulled out of that one. So that's how I ended up at Bank of America.
Oh, my God.
I know. I know. You pay them, you overpay them, and they just say, well, we're not applying it to your account because it's not the correct amount.
Well, that's what I finally had to do was overpay whatever it was they were saying I owed them at that time, thinking that would
I would get ahead and they'd owe me money, but that just caused more problems that stretched it out another several weeks.
Yeah.
So,
it's a nightmare, the whole system, because, they think that you have no other choices, and come to find out, we have many choices. Many, many, many choices.
Exactly. And I'll let you get to somebody else, but really, the credit union is the best thing I've ever done as far as banking.
Yeah, I'm trying, but they won't let me take my money out. I'm trying. I am trying. I mean, I can't believe you have to fight with them, to get your own freaking money. Well, of course I can. Of course, everything is believable now. John in Wisconsin.
Hi, Randy.
Hey.
It's a privilege being on the show, and thanks for everything you do.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
Wanted to tell you thanks, and the other hosts of your station for talking about the Occupy Wall Street in Chicago. It's really exciting to see this happening.
Yes, it is.
I'm hoping that it'll actually maybe bring some of the Tea Party people and Republicans to the center line with the rest of the people, and maybe we can actually sit down and talk productively, and that'll result in some big changes in the upcoming elections. So what the problems that I think they need to look at is how did we get here, and be realistic. It wasn't an overnight thing, and a lot of people involved, and also it's really about money, and the Tea Partiers' concern from what I see is also they don't have enough money. So, that's no different than a public employee who just fired Governor Walker as my employer, and I get to start a new job on Monday. So that said, I'm just really excited to see this going on. I hope it moves up to Madison. And also, I wanted to tell you that I did sign to get money out.
Thank you.
Get my wife to sign today so we can get the number of signatures that you need.
Yeah, we're only 3,000 signatures away from 100,000, which is what we apparently needed. So, 3,000 more signatures. That's all we need. That's all we need.
Right, and it's not many. So I'm hoping that you address down the way here the mortgage insufficiency problem that's going to come up. The banks are going to start going after people. I'm sure you're on top of that. But people walking away from mortgages in these states where they have the right to go after you for any shortages, I'm hoping that's in one of your upcoming shows, because that's going to be a big, big problem.
Well, you know what? Thank you for everything. You pull your money out, all of a sudden they're a little desperate, aren't they? A little negotiation.
This is the dispenser of fame.
Turn up your mind.
Here's today's talking point from your dirty hippies are back, and they haven't showered since they left. You may be wondering how we should handle the protests down on Wall Street. Ignoring them didn't work, which is odd. First time ignorance ever let us down. We've got to turn to mockery. We were going to make fun of their protest signs like they did to the Tea Party signs, but it turns out theirs are actually spelled correctly. We had to reach deep into the playbook and pull out a classic. The unwashed hippie approach starts with a period reference, as our friends at Fox News demonstrate.
I think my favorite was, I'm born to be here. You were born to be at a Grateful Dead concert.
You got it? These Wall Street occupiers are just ridiculous throwbacks to another era. They don't even know what year it is. Unlike someone wearing a powdered wig and tricorner hat and answering to the name of Paul. Look, play the Woodstock card.
Woodstock meets Burning Man meets people with absolutely no purpose or focus in life.
If you need help with material, consult the collected works of Spiro Agnew, Lester Maddox on White Punks, or Ronald Reagan, the California governor years. And very important, don't forget the body odor reference.
I heard that people have been living there, not showering, and the stench is horrific.
It is equal parts patchouli, body odor, and urine.
These damn hippies want to drag this country back to the 1960s. It's up to us to make sure that this country stays in the 1950s, where it belongs. And that's talking point number 1004 from your official guide to being a good, well-showered Republican.
We have teeth. Maybe that should be the slogan for the Occupy Wall Street. If they're going to call me, it's just, we have teeth in our head. Is what we have. No, seriously, I mean, honest to God, Fox News was very active in organizing a Tea Party that was anti-Obama instead demolishment of democracy, that could actually have a grip on what was happening to them and the income inequality and the fact that most Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency expense. That's a shocking article today, I got to say, on CNN's Money. 64%. This is just so sad to me. 64% of Americans, a majority of us, 64% of Americans don't have enough cash on hand to handle a $1,000 emergency expense. We can't handle a $1,000 emergency. So your car breaks down, you're screwed. You'd have to borrow money from your friends or your family or neglect paying your rent or your credit card bill or your mortgage payment in order to fix your car. Really, this is where we're at? This is where we are? And that's okay? 45 million people, by the way, 45 million people are now on food stamps. This all started to implode in 2007, and it started to get a little bit better if you look at the charts when the stimulus money was flowing out. It started to abate. It started to get better. As a matter of fact, the bailout of the automobile industry, which I was completely for, and I was against the bailout of the banks. And why was I for the bailout of the automobile industry? Because I understood it had a supply chain, and that if you let that business, that industry go belly up, that it would have a cascading effect that would just compound the banking failures, the foreclosure frauds, the foreclosure lending, the fraudulent lending, the fraudulent ratings of these derivatives. The whole experience was just so devastating to the global economy that if we allowed the one industry that we always said, as GM goes, so goes the nation, because of the supply chain associated with it, that you had to bail it out. All of a sudden today I'm looking and I'm seeing 12,000 new jobs in the automobile industry, record profits in the automobile industry. People are buying cars because that's the thing that they have to have. And so that's what they're buying. They're buying cars, and the automobile industry is like the only viable. And there's some increase in construction. There's some increase in manufacturing and construction because of the stimulus money. But now that the stimulus money has run out or is running out, and aid to the states is gone, all of a sudden you got these public sector workers. You got school teachers and firefighters and EMTs who all spend their money locally. They're all being laid off. We can't catch up because of these freaking Republicans. I mean, every which way we go, they denigrate our ability to work. I mean, on the one hand, we were trying to work in the private sector, and they bellied up the banks, and then they bellied up the automobile industry, and they said, okay, we want to bail out the banks, but we don't want to bail out the automobile industry. We, on the other side, had the exact opposite impression. Don't bail out the banks. They have no supply chain. They create nothing. They create absolutely nothing. Like Gordon Gekko said, I create nothing. I own. I create nothing. But the automobile industry, on the other hand, creates a huge supply chain. And now it turns out that that's where the growth is. So as soon as we get some growth in the private sector, in some area, they go after the public sector. Right? Now school teachers are welfare queens. Firefighters are welfare queens. Police officers are welfare queens. It's because the states neglected to make the deposit into the pension funds for years, and now the states want that pension fund. I mean, it's crazy what's going on. And some people, I would say most Americans, I would, understand this. They get what's happening. And that's what this Wall Street protest is all about. And it's taking off, by the way. They've got, places, rallies now in Memphis, Tennessee, Hilo, Hawaii, Minneapolis, Baltimore, McAllen, Texas, all over the place. Chicago, they're protesting at the Fed Bank there in Chicago. LA's got one. Vegas has one. They're all over the place. And when you ask them, what is it that you're protesting? They say, I believe I'm not represented by the big interest groups and the big money corporations, which have increasing control of our money and therefore our politics. The banks are here to steal from us, said somebody else. Everyone's in debt, whether it's medical bills or school or loans. People are getting fed up with it. The demonstrators in Chicago since September 24th said they collected so much food, they started giving the surplus to homeless people. They're getting tons of support. People go to work or school, and then they go down and they start protesting. And they said, for me, it's all about the banks. So if that's the case, why can't we get together with some of the, let's say, moderate Republicans. Why couldn't we have, like they used to have Reagan Democrats, why can't we have Republicans for Obama? I don't understand. Here's a little mashup of Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama, and you tell me that they had a different approach. Tell me that they did.
And that's why this plan eliminates tax loopholes that primarily go to the wealthiest taxpayers and biggest corporations.
We're going to close the unproductive tax loopholes that have allowed some of the truly wealthy to avoid paying their fair share. In theory, some of those loopholes were understandable, but in practice, they sometimes made it possible for millionaires to pay nothing, while a bus driver was paying 10% of his salary, and that's crazy.
Middle-class families shouldn't pay higher taxes than millionaires and billionaires.
Do you think the millionaire ought to pay more in taxes than the bus driver, or less?
More. Warren Buffett's secretary shouldn't pay a higher tax rate than Warren Buffett.
I think it was the same exact thing. A bus driver shouldn't be paying the same thing as a millionaire. Warren Buffett shouldn't be paying the same thing as his secretary. Close the loopholes. Close the loopholes. Close the loopholes. Close the loopholes. I mean, there is a place for agreement, is there not? I mean, there is. And here's, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 75 years ago, warning us about Republicans.
Let me warn you, and let me warn the nation against the smooth evasion that says, of course we believe these things. We believe in social security. We believe in work for the unemployed. We believe in saving homes. Cross our hearts and hope to die. We believe in all these things. But we do not like the way the present administration is doing them. Just turn them over to us. We will do all of them. We will do more of them. We will do them better. And most important of all, the doing of them will not cost anybody anything.
And that's 75 years ago. FDR said, oh, yes, of course we believe in Social Security. Of course we believe in helping the unemployed. Of course we believe in helping people out of foreclosure. But we don't like the way you do it, so just let us do it. And we'll do it better. Cross our hearts and hope to die. Nothing's changed, really. And so here you have, three presidents. Current president, Ronald Reagan, who's the hero of the right, and FDR, who's the hero of the left, all agreeing that a system of inequality is no system at all. And we've got the top 1% of Americans own 40% of the nation's wealth, and those are 2007 figures. It's only gotten worse over the last 3 or 4 years, okay? So you have the top 1% in 2007 owning 42% of the country's financial wealth. The bottom 80% owns only 7%. And yet, the top 1% owns only 5% of our personal debt. The bottom 90% owes 73% of this personal debt. That's why we can't make it. That's why things are so bad. That's why, because we can't consume. We're in debt. We're drowning in debt. What did FDR do? He helped people stay in their homes. The government actually negotiated for them to stay in their homes. We had unemployment that was wildly out of control. He created government jobs. That's what we need to do. And you're telling me some Tea Party person would give a rat's ass if they got, they're unemployed now, drowning in debt now, because 99% of us have this story. And all of a sudden there's a job, there's a job opening to be a construction manager on a government project, or a manager to, help rebuild schools, or you're an electrician and you get all this work to, refurbish schools, or to, build, a hospital, and you're going to say no because it's a government job? Really? You would say no. I mean, we're all in the same boat. That's what I don't understand. That's the thing that mystifies me. 18 after.
Randi Rhodes.
Fearless, honest, real. This is The Randi Rhodes Show.
This decision. I've explored the options. I've listened to so many people and considered whether this was something that I needed to take on. But in the end, what I've always felt was the right decision remains the right decision today. Now is not my time.
Now is not my time. Chris Christie is not going to run for president. And you know something? I got to tell you, he might have been able to win. I don't know what is going on out there, but whatever it is happening in his party. It's happening from his own genre, from his own people. Not his own group, but I mean his own party, the Republican Party, somehow, somewhere told him this is not for you. You don't, because I really could see. First of all, I know a guy who reminds me so much of Chris Christie. There's a guy when I was growing up. His name was Kevin. Okay, and he had a really good last name. I don't want to say it because he's a lawyer now. But Kevin used to, from the time I can remember, 11, 12, 13 years old. He always thought he would be the president of the United States. And he looked like Chris Christie. Even as a young kid, he looked like Chris Christie. He was one of those, really cute kids, but really heavy, really, really heavy. But he had so much charisma and so much charm. I mean, there were a bunch of girls, okay? And June was like there were four of us. It was Susan, June, Ramona, and me. And June was the prettiest one of all of us, believe it or not. And June was Kevin's girlfriend. He could, she could have had any guy she wanted. She loved this guy because he was so fun, so funny, so smart, so unbelievably charismatic. I mean, everyone loved Kevin. To this day, everybody's still friends, okay? This is like 40 years ago. Everybody's still friends. Kevin did actually become a lawyer, and I was surprised that he never ran for office because Kevin could have done it. Chris Christie is that same, and he's a Republican too, Kevin. He could have been the same exact, Chris Christie guy. Could have had, but he went into private practice and made a lot of money and decided politics was not for him. But Chris Christie has that. He's got that charisma, that tough guy talk. Get your ass off of the beach. Your tanning time's expired, right? I mean, Chris Christie really could have won. I think that there were a lot of moderate Democrats that would have voted for Christie if the campaign was waged just so. Just like you would have had, Reagan Democrats, you could have had Christie Democrats. But now because Christie's out now, all you got a bunch of wackadoodles. There's just no question. There's no one to vote for, okay? Mitt Romney, you have no idea, depending on what day of the week it is, where the wind is blowing, his mood, whether or not he got some last night, if he broke up a company recently or is yearning to do it again, needs another kill. You don't know who he is on any given day. You have no idea who this guy is, none whatsoever. So that's not going to fly with the Republican Party. Then you've got Herman Cain, who's just crazy and thinks Sharia law is in the courts and is sticking to it and doubled down on Sunday. And, he's a guy who backed off of the N-word and said he doesn't care about that word. He's cooked. He's done. Bachmann is, her whole campaign is imploded. More staffers left her campaign today. She's done. And then you got Rick Perry, who's just cuckoo. I mean, he's dumb as a rock. And you can't say rock now without thinking of that. So, I don't know who they're going to vote for. And I think that, this is going to be an election where a lot of people on the Republican side stay home. I just know it. But what I'm trying to do is get some moderate Republicans to understand we're all in the same boat together. And that the income inequality is affecting 99% of us. And that there are so many people in this country who are affected by the foreclosures, even if they did everything right and they stayed in their houses and they made their bills and they didn't, fall prey to some scam or some scandal or the banks didn't foreclose. Like me, I mean, I'm still in my house, obviously, and I never missed a house payment. I'm very lucky that I was always able to, even though I was fired in the middle of this recession, too, and sat there going, oh, my God, right? But my house is worth like nothing because of the amount of foreclosures around me in my neighborhood. So can't we all just agree that we're all in the same boat together and that these wackadoodles on the right have absolutely nothing to offer you except for Sharia law, and he's a Muslim, and he's not American, and he hates white people? Can we please just get to the actual issues, get the money out of politics? That would be something. Oh, by the way, again, Donna Edwards, who's a Democrat from Maryland, in 2010, first of all, let me just say this. I've been trying to talk to Dick Durbin for a week now, not knowing that he was going to tell you to pull your money out of Bank of America Which he did.
Did you see what they did on Friday? They announced that anybody who had a debit card at Bank of America was now going to be subject to a $5 monthly fee because of this reform. What I have said in the media, and I'll say here, is Bank of America customers, vote with your feet. Get the heck out of that bank.
Wow.
Find yourself a bank or credit union that won't gouge you for $5 a month and still will give you a debit card that you can use every single day. What Bank of America has done here is an outrage.
I got a funny feeling that when we called to ask him on the show, because the reason why I was asking him was because every year Dick Durbin introduces a public financing bill for the election, for federal candidates. Every year he does public financing, and every year that bill fails. But that day that we called was the day that, we were talking about Bank of America and their $5 fee. I got a funny feeling. Because what was his solution? Go to a credit union, right? Now he's being pummeled by the right wing because this could work. It could. Vote with your feet, right? And then I got one more thing to tell you.
Turn up your mind.
I think that they've created this radicalized, crazy religious element that will not take anything from the government, even though they're getting their Medicare and Medicaid from the government. But
I got to disagree with you here, because there are plenty of police officers that are Republican who take their jobs and their government paychecks. There are, tons and tons and tons of people out there. Any job at all would be just fine, and they would shut up about it. And it's a religion only because there's nothing. And Eric Cantor wants it to continue to be nothing. But if you actually could offer a construction guy who's, a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, white sock, black shoe wearing Republican, a job building, doing the electricity for the new school that's being built, or putting in the drywall, or, doing the plumbing for the new hospital, oh, my God, of course they would take it. And, all of a sudden, you might have a shot, which is exactly why they won't invest in any of these jobs as Republicans. That's why Eric Cantor said, no, your jobs bill is DOA. They won't even take it up for a vote.
Right. Now, I understand that, and I hear, but you said something key. You said that they have nothing. They do have something, and what they have is anger. They have a really deep-seated anger, borderline hatred of the government, and particularly of Obama, and for the most part, Democrats. And so when you put up anger, they would have to swallow so much pride to be able to take anything from the government, because they've set themselves up in that way. They've set themselves up they've spoken out, and they're so against it. For them to take anything else from the government, they'd have to swallow a really big pill. Now, when you're broke and you don't have any money,
well, I think you're pretending that. I think you're pretending that they would, that they're not taking Social Security and that they don't get Medicare, because they do. It seems to me that this is the Tea Party base are old white people who obviously, the exact opposite of the young people who do have time because they're unemployed. The seniors who showed up for these Tea Party town hall meetings and these rallies and the Glenn Beck things, they had plenty of time because they were retirees who were on Social Security, who were on Medicare. And that's why they had those signs saying, keep your government hands off my Medicare. They're just too dumb to understand. And perhaps they were too, stubborn to admit that their Medicare was a government program. I don't know. But the truth is, they never turn it down. They don't return those checks. They don't send back their unemployment. 99% of us are in the same boat. And frankly, I don't see where anybody sent back any check that came from the government because they were religiously observant of the Tea Party no government rule.
Well, listen, while I have it, because I don't call often, real quick question. I didn't see anything in the Get the Money Out constitutional amendment talking about stuff financing. Is that included? Did I miss it? And what is the actual practicality? Who would choose the candidates? Will the parties choose the candidates? And I'll take the rest of that off the air.
Yeah, it would be done. You qualify just like, to get on the ballot. You get a certain amount of signatures. You go out, you knock on doors, you qualify, and then, you have the primary. And whoever wins the primary gets the public financing. Oh, I guess you're gone. Tom in Atlanta.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I don't know why we're surprised that, the clips that you played, those individuals that cite Fox News as their source, how uninformed they are. I live in Atlanta, metropolitan area, 5 million people. The 24-hour radio cycle, Monday through Friday, there's only 2 hours of non-conservative radio on TV, and it's you. That's it.
Right. Well, you have to look at ownership. Who owns the radio stations there? I mean, people are under this imaginary, ill-informed, idea about the media that it serves the marketplace and the free market works. It's about ownership. Whoever owns your stations gets to choose, the programming. And frankly, if you look at the ownership of the Atlanta stations, you'll see exactly what the issue is.
Well, I don't. You haven't been on here that long, but I'm sorry to say they just pulled the plug on you.
Where, in Atlanta?
Yeah. I was listening to you today, or I was going to listen to you today, and you're gone. So I'm online listening to you. I mean, this is a metropolitan city.
Well, that's news to me, so maybe there's a tech problem or something.
No, I call. I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot because I'm ticked off, but I called them, and, they're going with some American radio network or something,
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to my friends who, it's almost like after they ask you whether you're a Christian or not, they ask you what party you are. We have all these, closet Democrats here because it's almost like it's not in vogue, to not be conservative. It's gotten, and a lot of the people who call themselves conservative, it's like they're voting against their own best interest all the time, like they want to be part of some club.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, and that's why I'm trying to, explain to people that we're all in the same boat, and I can't understand why they would vote for a party that actually refuses to do anything on this bad economy. I mean, they refuse to do anything. There's nothing that, here's the House schedule, okay? The Cement Sector Regulatory Relief Act of 2011, H.R. 2681. That's what they're going to be. First, they have a House resolution to decide the rules to debate the Cement Sector Regulatory Relief Act of 2011. I mean, where is the Jobs Act? Why don't they take it up? Why don't they do anything about this?
You know what's amazing, and not to get too deep with this, I was reading a book on the Civil War, and again, it's interesting how the upper class manipulated the legislature in the South, got the poorest of the poor to go to war for them, and then it was like once they all got there, it became rich man's war, poor man's fight. They said, what the heck just happened? We're all fighting, and those guys are back home. I mean, it's almost a similar type dynamic. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense, and there's no reason for you to, rack your brain trying to make sense out of it because it's just nonsense. The idea here is to keep people divided, obviously, and to make the House fall. You say Civil War. Well, a House divided cannot stand, and every Republican knows it. So they take out these stupid issues. He's not a Christian. He's a Muslim. He has a birth certificate issue. He's got this. He's got that. He's a communist. He's a Marxist. He's a Maoist. He's a fascist. He's this. He's that. Meanwhile, every single solution that he has proposed can't even come up for a vote because they know these things work. And they have a very deep interest in watching this country crumble so that we will become the multinational corporations of America, period.
I mean, I always ask these guys, I said, when did, and I'm not overly religious, and it's pretty heavy down here, and I said, when did Jesus become pro-war, pro-gun, pro-corporation, anti-poor? You're inconsistent with your own philosophy.
Well, obviously. I mean, there's no question that that's so.
Yeah.
But people have been, misinformed, propagandized. I mean, the state-run media is Fox News and these thousands of hours that you're talking about of conservative talk in every corner, every nook and cranny of this country, regardless of, the population. I mean, New York City, come on. You talk about, Philadelphia, working man, blue collar, Atlanta, please. It's all, they bought the airwaves. They bought everything. And through this ownership, they are manipulating people to vote for their best interests, not people's best interests. And they're very good manipulators. Propaganda is an awesome thing.
I mean, it really shows the importance of checks and balances in everything.
It does, and it shows, the importance in public ownership of certain things. You build a profit motive into, information and news, and you make it no better or worse than entertainment. This is what you get. You take away the rules for operation. No one's got to be licensed. Nobody has to provide anything to the community that they serve. Licenses are renewed once every 8 years now by postcard. You don't have to prove that you're serving anybody. Come on, you do that, and then you no longer reflect the community or what the issues are in the community, or you no longer speak to anybody about anything except for the corporate interest, period. End of story.
I mean, it became that profit was the only determinant of whether you were successful or not, or if you were fulfilling any obligation.
Well, it's not even profit now. It's become, front people for the profit centers because, not everybody. You think about all these Republican talk show hosts. They're all acting as if they're all number one, or they all have very large. That's a lie. It's not true. The distribution is awesome, though. I mean, you're on 600 radio stations. You can cobble together a number of people. But it doesn't mean that on each one you're doing well. So that's just a lie.
Yeah, I'll never forget when nobody called out Senator McConnell or Rush Limbaugh for basically saying, I hope the president fails.
Well, they do hope the president fails, and they mean by that they hope we fail. They hope that we are failing when we have, an election. They hope that every single person is hurting and failing and in debt and desperate and scared, and they will propagandize them into voting against their own best interest. And all it's going to take is one more election, because then we get two more Supreme Court picks, and this is done. This is really done. They've been working at it for 30 years. 30 years they've been building this monster. And the money is endless. It's endless, 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 and it's just coming from a very elite group of people who have everything to say, and everyone else should just shut up about it. And that's their attitude, and that's why nothing gets done. And Eric Cantor has told the president today, not a chance we'll take up the jobs bill. Not a chance.
And the most amazing thing is, just like you cited, if Ronald Reagan, who they always cite, was running now, he wouldn't sniff the presidency.
No, they would say he was a rhino and dismiss him. He would not. He would be a union thug, and he would be somebody who raises taxes. See, and there's no chance that Ronald Reagan would ever get elected president in this environment. Carol in Albuquerque.
I just called Eric Cantor's office, got through no problem, to take and tell him that I, as a Republican of 32 years, insist that he has not taken and put this jobs bill on. I told his secretary, I worked for Reagan. I worked for Reagan when I was 16. I worked for Reagan the second time, and at least he cared about the country. And apparently Eric Cantor doesn't, because he won't take and give us the jobs. So where are the jobs? I asked the secretary. She had no
answer. No, they have no answer.
Anything.
No, for nothing. Listen, ask directly if the bill was dead. Cantor said yes. Okay? This is what he said. He said the bill is dead.
My question is why isn't the American public hitting his office with as many calls as possible, hitting his fax line with as many faxes as possible, hitting his face page and all the other computer pages that he is on as hard as possible with, we want this bill?
Well, it's a great idea, and I think that everybody ought to. They ought to all call Eric Cantor's local office in Virginia, Eric Cantor's federal office in Washington, go on Eric Cantor's, homepage, go on fax him if you have a fax machine, whatever you need to do, because he said this bill is dead.
And
dead.
Mail him stuff, mail him a postcard, because let's save the post office at the same damn time.
Oh, good idea, yes. So mail him a postcard, seriously, and tell him, why is this jobs bill dead? Why can't we even debate it? Why can't you introduce it and we debate it? He said it is dead on arrival. He was asked yesterday if the bill was dead. He said yes. And that's it. They will not consider investments in infrastructure. They will not consider funds to save teachers and first responders. They will not consider tax breaks for businesses. And they will not consider tax breaks for the middle class. They will not consider any of the jobs bill. Nothing. The only thing that they said that they might like is the trade agreements. Seriously. Columbia Free Trade Agreement. These are the only things that they might consider. Oh, and a reduction in the withholding tax for business. Not for you, for business. Other than that, they will not take this jobs bill up at all. And Obama said to him today, good. You do this at your own peril. 49 after.
Randy Rhodes.
The most fun you can have with your fingers.